Hello everybody, it's me Margaret, and if you're new to my channel then you may not know that I'm primarily a charity knitter and crocheter, and that's what my videos are normally about, although I reserve the right to talk about whatever I want to, so you never know what you're going to see on this channel. However, today it is all about yarn. So here is my first finished object. I talked about these last time I did a yarn video. It is mosaic crochet. This happens to be the Apache Tears pattern, but again, as I mentioned before, there are lots of different versions of Apache Tears. I was working on this the last time I showed it to you, and now it's finished, so I'm happy to say that that is checked off. And I'm actually on to something else. I got the new knit crate in, and normally I end up looking at it and oohing and eyeing over it and setting it aside until I find just the right project. But this time, when I saw this yarn, I was like, oh my goodness, this is perfect summertime yarn. Cotton, linen, lyocell, nylon, sport weight yarn, gorgeous color, I love it. Here's the little extra this time, which is very different. It's called Copper Cow Coffee, and essentially it's a pour over, and they show you how. It says a vanilla pour over, and if you can see down here it says no additives or preservatives and pesticide free, sustainably sourced. The ingredients are just coffee and some vanilla, so I could probably have this, but it also came with this latte creamer, and it's milk and sugar, and again without the chemicals or anything. Now you know I can't have sugar with the diabetes I'm trying to avoid, so I can pass this on to somebody else. My husband doesn't like this sort of thing, so maybe my neighbor would like it. She might. Here are the patterns included with the June crate, and while I like them fine, they're just not something that floats my boat at the moment. So I've got to find something that I want to do with that yarn. However, I'm also in the process of cleaning out my closet. Now, I just got through saying that I'm primarily a charity knitter and crocheter, right? What I do, I normally give away. But as you can imagine, there are certain yarns and certain patterns and gifts and things like that that I have received that I wanted to keep for myself, right? So I'm cleaning out my closet, and I'm coming across stuff that I have never worn or have not enjoyed as much as I thought that I would have. So I'm going to go through that right now, and we're going to put a lot of this in the giveaway pile, and I'm going to keep some and tell you exactly why I'm choosing to keep it. So today I want to start with this one because it's the most recent thing that I have made for myself. This was a crocheted sweater. The pattern was, well, I'll have to write all that out. I even have a video all about my experience with making this because I don't normally make garments because I don't know. I feel like there's so much that goes into it, and sizing is tricky because I do sew and I know how tricky sizing can be. But I really did like this. Now, I wore it last year when I made it, but I didn't wear it at all this year. But I am not ready to get rid of it because it's a comfy thing. Actually, I'd probably enjoy wearing it around the house if I would just stop thinking of it as gold or something. I think when you put so much work into stuff, it's like, oh, I don't want to wear it out. You know, I want to keep it good. So I need to stop treating it as though it were something so precious and wear it. Now this is something that I have made long ago. I have worn this a lot. I modified the original pattern, and it is a paid-for pattern. It's a shawl too. How do you put it on? I can't even remember. And of course, I can't remember what the name of this was. Oh yes, I do. Cuffed cape. That's what it's called, because look at it. It's like a cape, but it has cuffs, which are awesome because that means that it stays on your body, which is very nice for when you're cold. I'm wearing this a lot actually, but I didn't wear it at all this past year. Am I ready to get rid of that? Well, no, I'm not. So also in this container, I've had this stuff in this plastic container on a shelf. This is a sweater that Erin made, and you know that Erin, I was about to say her old screen name. She's Everyday Erin now, and she is a knitter extraordinaire. This sweater she was making for herself, and it didn't fit, and I think we've all had that experience before. which is very frustrating. But she asked me if I wanted it, and I fell in love with it. And yes, I love this sweater. Have to look up the name of the pattern, put that information in the description box for you, but it is a wonderful sweater. It fits me well. Do I wear it? Yes, I do. And even if it wears out, I will never part with this because it was made by Erin's hands. And yes, I'm extremely sentimental. She made this for me as well. I have worn it. I have not worn it last year. I didn't wear it at all last year. But again, sentimentality. There you go. Now, here's something that I made. This was an Addie hat. It was an Addie hat that helped me to discover that you cannot use rows for formulas for just any pattern. You can't just say, how do you make a hat? X number of rows, X number of inside rows. It doesn't work like that, and that's because the yarn reacts differently. So I've got videos all over the place on why that's the case. I'm not going to go into that, but this was the video that helped me to realize that. It's a reversible hat. I do love it, and I like the colors in it and everything. Did I wear it last year? No, I don't think I've worn it in 5 years. So you know what? This is going to be given away. This is a hat I made when I first started to knit and was overconfident and thought that I could do color work. This is horrible, so horrible that I cannot give it away. If you can see how it's puckering everywhere. Why? Because I didn't know what I was doing. I just got so overconfident and I thought, ooh, I'm going to do a color work hat. Look at me. And you can see here that I didn't leave enough space. My carryover yarn here, that's just entirely too long. I didn't know what I was doing. The pattern is adorable. I kept it because I knew I couldn't give something like this away. And yet, did I wear it? No, I didn't. So why am I holding on to this? I don't know. Now here is another one that I made, and I like it. I like the colors in it and everything, but you know what? I've just learned that I am not a pattern person. I don't like colors. As a matter of fact, I'm sticking to solid colors in almost everything that I buy in the future just because it looks better to me, on me. So I never reach for this. So this is a really nice hat, and that can go to somebody else. Now, here's a hat I am keeping. This was a pattern, I believe Erin had given me this pattern with the sheep all around. It was a color work hat. I did a much better job on it because it wasn't as difficult. The colors were kind of all together, so to speak. And I did a much better job on this. Is it perfect? No, but I like this little hat. And yeah, I'll wear it again. I didn't wear it last year. And here's one I made, and I did wear this several times last year, as a matter of fact. Simple patterning, if you can see that. Again, I'll have to look for the pattern names and put it in the description box below, because this is an excellent pattern, and it's pretty good for beginners, I think, who want to get started with color work. And I'm by no means a color work expert. Let's put that on the table right here and now. But I can make stuff that I feel confident in wearing and giving away. Is it perfect? No, it's not. I see several things that I need to learn with my tension, but it's definitely passable. It is, I would not be embarrassed in any way to wear this or give it away. Now, this is an old one, and this hat was made for me by Olivia. I don't think, where can I put this so you can see it better? I don't think Olivia does videos anymore, but back then, I'm talking way back when my 21-year-old was, I don't know, 10 or something, she made this hat for me, and I love it. It was actually a giveaway that I won. She didn't make it just for me. But I love this little hat. This is my style, just basic hat. The pattern and texturing, it's, what is it? It is 2 knits, and then this is seed stitch in between. So it's not that difficult, but it's so classic, and that's my style right there. So yes, I'm keeping that. And this is one I made for myself, I think it was recently, trying to get rid of my stash, and I found this. This is very basic. I think it is 7 knits and 1 purl. So that gives it just enough texturing like that. And it's kind of light. And if you know, I live in Texas, we get some cold weather, but we don't get a lot of cold weather like many of you do. So a light hat is all I really need most of the time when I'm just walking the dog. And of course my dog walks have gotten much shorter because Bentley can't go that far. So if I'm going to exercise outside, it's probably not going to be in the winter, so it's only for dog walks. But this is my style. I did wear this. I will wear this again, so I'm going to keep it. And this was no pattern, by the way. This was just me. I think I did a 2x2 rib, and then it's 7 knits and 1 purl for the ribbing in the main part of the hat. Now, what else have we here? Oh, here's another old one. Okay, I love this pattern. And I'm almost positive it was a pattern somewhere. I'm gonna have to look for it. This is a checkerboard type patterning. Blanking out on what you would call this. I don't know. Okay, so anyway, I'll put it in the description box below, but I do love it. Have I ever worn it? Yes. Will I wear it again? Probably not. It's awesome. The thing about it is if I give this away, it's going to have to be tagged because this is really nice yarn. And so it's going to be a hand wash and dry flat type thing, which a lot of charities, at least my experience, don't want. But I'm sure that there may be people that will. So I'll tag that. On the same vein, I did another one in this very nice yarn. And I've never worn it. As you can see, I didn't even sew in the end. So I'm going to sew that end in and give this away. Now here's something that I have noticed about myself. Most cowls will tell you to make it about this big. So you put that on and you end up with a literal cowl neck. Okay, this is not warm, not to me. I want something that's going to be up against my neck, so I have to stuff it and twist it and fold it and figure out how to make it stay put against my neck. So I have learned over time that when I make a cowl for myself, it needs to be more narrow. Basically, it's about like a hat, the width of a hat band. And you'll see I made this one first, liked it so much that then I did shorten it when I made the blue one, so that it would be more what I like. And that's the beauty of making things yourselves, isn't it? Is because you can customize it. Well, that was very rude. I was just talking up a storm and my camera battery died and just cut me off. Now I got to try to remember what I've talked about and what I haven't. Okay, I don't think I talked about this. All right, this is a very basic cowl. It was made with some knit crate yarn ages ago. It's a very basic pattern, which I didn't use a pattern. I did 4, is that right? 4 knits, 2 purls, and just made this. Now the yarn itself is absolutely gorgeous. There's hidden colors in there, you know, kind of, I don't know how to describe it. I'll try to take a close-up picture for you to see. And I love it. Will I wear it? Yes, I've worn it a lot already. So that's a good one that I will keep. And you'll notice the style that I've got going on. This is my aesthetic. I like very plain, solid colors. Noticing right now, this is probably the wrong shirt that I should wear when I'm doing a video because dark against dark and all that. But you know what? I'm trying to get videos in when I can, and I just happen to have this on today. I didn't go in my closet and say, oh, how can I be a glamorous videographer? No, I don't do all that. So anyway, back to this. This is my aesthetic. I like solid classics. That's kind of my thing. So I made this one probably a few years ago. Gorgeous knit crate yarn, loved working with it, and I loved the pattern. It almost looks like a, I don't know, a bunch of candelabras that go up there in this one. And again, the yarn is impeccable. I love it. However, the pattern, while it was really fun to do, it's one of those wider cowls, which for me is just not practical. I guess it's supposed to be worn like this with the points on the bottom, but it's just not warm. It just hangs off my neck, and I'm like, what's the point, you know? So I'm going to be sharing that with somebody else. Okay, now this goes back a long time. like back when, I'm not even going to point you to the video because it's when I had an old camera back before they even had cool cameras like this. Anyway, to make a long story short, this was something I did wear a lot. It's a cowl. It's a crochet cowl. It's before I ever even learned how to knit, as a matter of fact. No pattern, if I can remember correctly. It was just a very simple, you do it back and forth like this, double crochets back and forth like that. But then what I did is added these buttons to go down the front or the side or however you wanted to wear it, just to give it a little bit more bling. Now the good thing about crochet is you don't have to make buttonholes. I used double crochet. I used buttons that would easily slide within the double crochet, and so therefore you have easy buttonholes, so to speak. I loved this. I wore it a lot. Back then, I would get up early in the morning and walk Bentley. And of course, we'd knock out a good 2 miles before the kids ever woke up, and that would be in the dark and in the cold. I did use this a lot, and this is made of, it was a Lion brand, Vanna's Choice. Don't ask me the color, don't even know if it's still available. However, acrylics do wear well, so this has been washed and dried a couple of times, and like I said, I've worn it a lot. Probably won't ever wear it again, but it served its purpose and it's really good. It's in super condition. I mean, really good condition. So I think I will pass this on to somebody else. By the way, I have a whole video about giving to charities, and you don't give your trash to charities. And like this, for example, I don't care how much work I put into this. This is not something I would give to someone else. So think of it as a gift. I'll point that video down below because it has a lot of good information in it that you may or may not have thought about when wanting to craft for charities. I'm in the editing process and I realized I left out this scarf. I didn't talk about it. This is an infinity scarf, one big giant loop. I did it on the Addie machine, and you know, it's a tube. See, it's like just a tube. And yes, you can do a flat panel version if you want to, but I thought it was easier to do a tube. Plus it makes it a little bit more warm. And I wanted to show you my cheater thing. I'm sure I've mentioned this a million times in different videos, but when you do an infinity scarf, yes, you can take the time to do Kitchener stitch so that you'll have a nice seamless, it'll look like this, a seamless join actually, which would be awesome. But in my thought process, I'm like, why? Why would you do that? Because this goes on the back of your neck. And I'm not camera ready today, so we're going to use this for the head. Okay, so you put that on the back of your neck. Then you grab the bottom and you twist and you put it over like that, right? Over your head on the back of your neck. So essentially, the back of your neck looks just like that. Nobody sees that portion because you cover it with that. So in my mind, why do I want to spend all the time doing that? This is the pretty part that you would arrange and, you know, make it however you want it to hang on your neck. So there's that. However, I will not be donating this. It got a lot of wear in its day. Let me explain why. Okay, this yarn is Red Heart Unforgettable, and the nature of the yarn is that it has thick and thin strands throughout. So like here you can see some really thick ones, and right here is some really thin where you can see it. You know, normally that's not a problem. That is definitely a feature of some yarns. However, with the extended wear that this has gotten, I feel like it's really showing its age, and that feature of this yarn does not hold up well to wear and tear. In other words, it just really stands out to me and makes it look tired. I suppose I could just add it to the donations and then they can make their decision on whether or not this would be something that somebody would wear. Of course, vintage is all the rage these days, and so it may be beneficial. Someone may think it'd be great to be wearing something vintage. I'm not sure about that. There you go. There's my thought process, and I don't have a decision. Moving on. Okay. This is a cowl that I will keep. This is a wonderful cowl. I'm going to keep this even when it wears out because this is the pattern that I designed for Knit Crate. And I was a featured, I think they called me a designer. I don't think of myself as a designer, but for whatever reason, they asked me to do this. I did it and I love it. I sold the rights to this pattern to Knit Crate. I had an option whether I was going to keep them or not, and I thought it would just be better to go ahead and give it to them. So you can purchase this pattern from Knit Crate, and I will link it below, and I do highly recommend it, not just because I did it, but because I love it. I think that, again, it's that kind of a classic styling. It's so customizable. You could make this longer, shorter, any kind of way that you want to with this pattern, and I tell you how to do it in the instructions. So yes, highly recommend this. We'll be keeping it, do wear it, have worn it, we'll wear it again. So there you go. Now this is one of those sentimental stories. I bought this yarn on a trip to Vermont to visit Aaron and Kristen, and I fell in love with this yarn. Now the project that I had picked out for it turned out to be a little bit above my skill set, and I didn't want to ruin that gorgeous yarn. Plus it came with a memory of Aaron and me shopping at Webb's, which was awesome. So I found something else, another pattern that was easily within my skill set that I thought was worthy of this yarn, and I think it came out beautifully. So I will link this below. This is something that I do wear, that I will wear, and that I probably will keep anyway, simply because of the memory of that trip. So I'm really, really proud of this too. This was very few mistakes in this, and it just came out beautifully. So last but not least is my Cʀᴇᴜ. This was the very first project that I ever finished in crochet. I am going to keep this solely because it's the very first project I ever completed. It is a Cʀᴇᴜ by Bob Wilson 123. It's one of her videos that I followed when I was just getting started. And one of the other things I love about this is that she was teaching. It's a really old video, and she was teaching, and she realized that it was too short in this direction. So she fixed the problem right then and there in the middle of this video by adding on a couple of border rounds on there. And so I learned early on in my career that mistakes could actually be an asset. They could actually be happy little accidents, as Bob Ross used to say. And fudging is also something that I found power in, you know, that you make a mistake, you're one stitch off. In crochet, it is so easy to just crochet two together, or you know, maybe whatever you need to do. Fudging is power, and I love it. Is this the most beautiful work ever? No, it's not. Will I wear it again? Oh no, I might, but probably not. But what a wonderful memory, and I'm going to hang on to this until I feel like I can part with it. So, very similar to some of the pieces that I've had before. Sentimentality is, I was about to say it's one of my faults. I don't know if that's a fault per se, but it does affect a lot of my decisions, and sometimes I need to learn to let go, but not right now for that. So question, and am I alone? Do you do things like this? Do you make things for yourself and then never wear it? Think that you're gonna love it, but it turns out to not be the thing for you, and then tell me what you do with it afterwards. Do you I'm not lucky enough to have friends and family who would say, oh, let me have that. They just are not interested in this sort of thing. So I have to find a home for my pieces. So tell me what you do with yours, and we'll talk about this later. But thanks for watching. I appreciate you being here, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.